Hello everyone, it is I, Ryan, also known as thelovebat. So we're back for yet another draft video. Been getting kind of just in the mood to just do these recently, just to keep on going with the flow, and if I'm in the mood, we're gonna groove. So let's just keep on doing more draft videos here, and I'm gonna just do the same one that I did last time, the premiere draft. I haven't played Kaladesh Remastered before as far as the draft format. Zendikar Rising was the first one. I considered this or not, but I'm not familiar enough with the cards to dive in at like the last second and do one and then possibly end up wasting all my gems and not being able to do a draft video for a while. So I figured I'd just stick to what I know best here for the draft as far as the most recent format and just keep going with Baldur's Gate. So if it were Zendikar Rising or later as far as the draft format, getting like a sort of reprint in the drafts here, then I probably would have done one of them, like the Kamigawa set, which was a couple weeks back that I kind of missed out on and wasn't able to do for a flashback draft. But Baldur's Gate is still pretty fun for a format, so we'll just keep on going with this, do a premiere draft best of one, and see how this deck does. I imagine it won't take very long for the players to come in here, so I don't think it's really necessary to go ahead and pause the entire video for it, so, or to go and pause the recording. So premiere drafts don't usually take very long to fill up compared to the best of 3 traditional draft. Anywho, just to fill up some of the blank space here, might be able to get around to some of the constructed decks this weekend at some point and make sure that I actually get around to those and I quit procrastinating about it. I was busy most of the day today, so I wasn't able to get around to it before this video. But hopefully over the weekend I'll finally just have a chance to get down and do it and not procrastinate anymore on that on those videos that I planned to do at some point. Alright, and let's go ahead and get to the draft here. Baldur's Gate once again. Let's do it. Baldur me up, baby. Alrighty. So, interesting. So, our rare that we open up is just a nice 4/4 creature here. Mana ability is uncommon. I guess it would be like the O2 Dragon or Scaled Nurturers, the O2 green creature that ramps, and then the Undersolar Myconid that ramps would be 2 creatures that get a buff from this, at least in this particular set. I mean, you can get Semi-Vigilance with them. They can attack and then you can use them to ramp, I guess, but I mean, this is still a good card, and it's good if you have a deck with lots of high-end cards in it, which green and red tend to be able to have with either dragons or just big fat creatures. Lulu is probably the safest pick. It's in white, specialized. It has a pretty good effect. Bone Color Cleric is a pretty good card, especially when you have big creatures that get back from the graveyard. Soldiers of the Watch and Steadfast Paladin are greats in white aggro decks. Dower Singer's good in the red aggro deck, and Summon Undead down there would be good in the green-black sort of graveyard type archetype. So now what do we have? Well, we have one nice big green card with the Emerald Dragon if we want to go into that sort of route of just getting big fat creatures out. Of course, 7 mana creatures are kind of expensive, and this isn't technically a 7 mana creature. But it is a big flyer, and that's something that is good in green, just to be able to go ahead and find creatures that can help you ramp, and then you play your big stuff on turn 4 or turn 5. Can be a very good plan. I'll just go ahead and select this. Gorion is not necessarily something we want to pick early. You'd pick it maybe in pack 3 if you have adventure cards already, like some of the dragon cards, and then maybe just the Blessed Hippogriff and things like that. Pilgrim's Eye is the safest pick here, but I'm just going to go with a nice big creature here and see if I can make it work. Alright, so we get rewarded with a Prosperous Innkeeper. This is a great sort of early game card that gives you semi-ramp with the treasure token. And just the life gain in general is very good. It buys you time. It's also very, very good if you have the Lurking Roper in your deck, which isn't uncommon, but it's a very good synergy with the Innkeeper to get a nice fat 3-drop out onto the field early to buy time for your bigger stuff right here. So it's a very, very good card, and if we end up splashing Raga-Draga, we could certainly do that in green-white with the green-white life gain, and we can hope to wheel maybe the Sylvan Shepherd. Maybe Prophetic Prism is another way to splash the Raga-Draga, so it's a good card, so I'm just going to go with this. Krydle is also a very good card, but we're not really in the colors for him, so if we were in, like, red-black or something else similar to that, we could splash him maybe. Ooh, Baldur Saga, that's another card that's worth splashing, and we already get a treasure off of the Prosperous Innkeepers, so that's one good one, and then if we end up getting, say, the Undersolar Myconid, which goes very well with Raga-Draga, then it gives us a token to sacrifice. If nothing else, this is a card worth splashing, and there are many ways to splash, especially in green. Splash and ramp. Draconic Murlis would be great, because then we can get the Emerald Dragon from our library with it. But Baldur Saga is just a powerful card, very well worth splashing here. Even if we are going green-white or green-red, we definitely want to go ahead and just take the strongest cards and keep ourselves open, and we can splash in green-white or green-red, so let's see, what do we go with here? Well, it's only best of one, so Etter Cap is somewhat good, but still more of a sideboard card. We do have some good white cards in here, as far as like the life gain synergies. Arcane Archery is also a good combat trick in green. Mist Dragon is maybe the best singular card here in a vacuum, but it's double blue, so we can't really effectively splash it. And even if we were in a dragon deck, we'd have to be blue-red splashing, or blue-green, or green-red, or something else similar to that. Celestial Unicorn has the highest upside in our deck. We can probably get some more Etter Caps and other things down the line. This at least goes well in a life gain deck, so we'll just go ahead and take this and see what wheels around here. Kobold Warcaller would be interesting here. We probably don't want more than one in this deck if we get any of the Gates lands that seek a card, because as I saw in my last draft, if you have a whole bunch of 1-drops in your deck and you end up seeking one of those cards when you don't need it, then it kind of bums you out that you didn't get one of your bigger cards. But being able to give these 4/4 creatures haste, that's also very good. Innkeeper could potentially get them out on turn 3, and then we get them out very, very fast and with haste. So, and giving an Emerald Dragon haste is also very good, so we just get a big creature haste and go to town on him. So we have a decision to make here. We have 2 gates. Both of them would be potentially good for our deck, depending on our colors. Young Red Dragon can help to splash with a treasure, and then Priest of Ancient Lore is just a great white card. I mean, green-red is probably what we want to do. This is the best card in the pack, definitely. But the Red Dragon helps us to splash, and it goes in green-red, so I think I'll just go ahead and take this to try and go green-red and splash other colors here if possible. Oh, Dreadland Norm. This is great. It's a very good card, and if we get the Scaled Nurture, it would be awesome in our deck to ramp into this. Undersolar Myconid would be good too, just to get the Raga-Draga synergies and buff them up into possible threats, and then you can ramp into stuff like Dread the Norm. And Dread the Norm also, you can also ramp into the combat trick effect as well. So that's a very good card. We're going to go with this over the Young Red Dragon and the Rabble Rouser, which would also be good here, but Dread the Norm is just too good of a top-end card to pass up. I don't think that we're going to go with the life gain deck now. I'll put that on the sideboard. I think that passing on the Priest of Ancient Lore was probably the correct choice. Even though white is wheeling around, I think that green-red is the place to be here. So Death Touch isn't really relevant here except for maybe the Kobold Warcaller. 1/1 Death Toucher could get value out of it, but Null Hunter at the very least we can get in with like the 4/4 creatures that we have and then give it the Pack Tactics pretty easily. Pilgrim's Eye is great on the wheel here. We're going to take that. It's awesome with Baba the Saga, so you can get 2 types of cards with 1 sacrifice effect. So counts as an artifact and a creature in the same sack sort of synergy there. Prophetic Prism is going to be good here for splashing as well as being able to sacrifice to Baba the Saga. So I'm going to take that and never look back. Split the Spoils isn't really good here. I'll take Inspiring Bard because it's a decently good pump effect, and if you get a Lurking Roper, this is another way to untap it. I guess this is a halfway decent blocker to buy time. We can consider doing Rapier because we can sack it to the Baba the Saga here. This is a good card, but it is a bit of a build around to... Like, you can obviously generate the creature tokens when you go ahead and... Like, if you're in, like, a sacrifice type deck, which we do have one way to sacrifice with the Baba the Saga, then obviously you can generate creature tokens pretty easily that way, but... I think that I maybe just want to go with either the Thrakkus or the Jade Orb of Dragonkind and just get into the ramp elements here. Another Dread the Norm would be great too. Deadly, or the Young Red Dragon is good on the wheel if we can get it. Deadly Dispute's also a great card, as well as these other black cards here with the Prowler and the Sepulchre Ghoul. I'm going to take Thrakkus because I already have several dragons here that can really get a lot of value off of with that. Young Red Dragon, Emerald Dragon, and Dread the Norm. They will have very devastating attacks if we can go ahead and get the Thrakkus going. And then I can hope to maybe get some... The Jade Orb of Dragonkind or the Young Red Dragon would be great on the wheel from that previous pack. Gut is a very good card. But it's still 6 mana. It's only a 4/3. It is a good aggro type card, but it's very expensive, and I don't know how much we want to specialize in this deck and discard cards. Red Dragon would be a good pick here, but so would the Pilgrim's Eye because it goes very well with the Baba the Saga and fixes. I'm going to hope to wheel the Red Dragon. It goes great with Thrakkus, and it gets in there for lots of extra damage, but I think we're going to wheel something from that pack that we want, and the double red and the expensive cost might get the Red Dragon to wheel if we're lucky. So Undersower Myconid, awesome for this deck. Just a nice rampy card, another token to sacrifice to Baba the Saga. And it fixes, so it gets a lot of value all in one. And we have some nice big fat cards here that are ramp or fix into, so definitely going to take that. And then we can... Druid of the Emerald Grove would be great too, but the Myconid is like a true ramp card, whereas with this you have to roll to be able to ramp into something. So yeah, because you get 2 land cards from it and you get a creature, but it's a more expensive card, and this is guaranteed ramp that gets a sack fodder for Baba the Saga, so I think it's just the best pickup here. Meteor Golem would be really good here because it's another good, potentially good sack fodder for Baba the Saga, just the 2-in-1 value there. But it is expensive for removal. And I think that maybe the Dread the Norm is maybe the best play here because the adventure side makes it very versatile. And I think it's something that's better for us to ramp into for this particular deck. There's other good cards here too. Young Red Dragon would be good in this deck, especially with Thrakkus. Treasure, fixes, and ramps. Hobgoblin Captain is a pretty good aggro type card. Another Thrakkus. I will take that and never look back. Hill Giant Herdgoger would be pretty good in this deck too, as another big fat creature to kind of get out there and get some value off of. But it's not quite the 7 mana for the Ragadraga, which is another reason to take the Dread the Norm here. Because then you can cast it with 7 mana and you can untap it and give it a nice big old pump effect there. So Thrakkus, I think, is going to be great, so we're going to go ahead and take this since we already have several dragons, and double dipping on Thrakkus isn't exactly bad because you can still trade off with it and get trample damage in there, so I think it's still a good card for the deck. I guess the Giant Fire Beetles is pretty good here. Menace is going to be probably better than the Pack Tactics, so you can force a trade with one of their creatures if you attack in with this, and then you just get some more gas in there. So I think this is worth taking here. It's not necessarily the best card for our deck, but it is a good card. And so I think we're just going to go with another dragon here. Rabble-Rouser in a vacuum is the best card in this pack, but you need other ways. You need to either be more of an aggro plan with an early curve, or you need to be able to just have ways to want to pump it and other rabble-rousers. So Young Red Dragon is just good for our deck. Treasure helps to fix and ramp, and it goes well with the Thrakkus and attacks over the top. I guess now we'll take the Hill Giant, and we have a high curve here, but that's not a bad thing. We have ways to ramp and fix. We have Pilgrim's Eye, two Pilgrim's Eyes, Myconid. We can draw cards of Baba the Saga. We can fix and ramp with the Young Red Dragon. I think it's a pretty good plan, in all honesty. Warriors of Tiamat I don't think is going to make the cut in this deck, so and there's no card here that would, I mean, I guess technically I could splash the Deadly Disputes, and since we do have some sacrifice type fodder in this deck, so maybe I can consider Deadly Disputes, since we do have treasure generation and different things that we could potentially make use of it. Fireball's not bad. It's an expensive removal, but we don't really have much removal in this deck, so it's still going to be good. And then Navigation Orb. I mean, this is ramp. I guess we can take it. I could also take the Bonecaller Cleric for just the vaults and whatever, but Navigation Orb is also an uncommon, so it helps us out. Another Young Red Dragon. So we basically have a deck already after the second pack, so I'm looking pretty good here. Just take the Summon Undead here that we're not going to play. We're not going to play that either. Another Gut. Ultra Ball would be interesting in this deck because there are cards. There are some good cards that we'd want to get back from the graveyard here. We have some nice big fat creatures. Draconic Muralist, though, is probably the best card for us to take for this particular deck. The Gate would be good on the wheel. There are good cards that we can seek and get into our hand from this deck. Patriarch's Humiliation is some great removal, but it's just not in our colors, and you can't really splash it reliably because it's 1 mana, and you want lots of creatures on curve to get out for it. So I'm just going to take the Muralist here and hope that I can wheel the Gate. That's probably the best thing to wheel for us. If the Ultra Ball wheels around, then maybe I could consider that on the splash and just kind of have a high upside option there. Breath Weapon is actually going to be really good in this deck. At the very least, it's more worth taking than the 4th Young Red Dragon here. The green cards aren't worth taking over the Breath Weapon, which is maybe more of a sideboard card in best of 3, so that way you can see what you're dealing with before wanting to main deck this. But we have a good deal of dragons in our deck already. Yeah, we have 9 dragons, and we're likely to play most, if not all of them, with 2 Thrakkuses and having good dragons, not just solar-type dragons. So, and Circle of the Moon Druid will not die to it if it's the opponent's turn when it's a 2/4 blocker. So, yeah, so we have some things that would obviously die to it, but situationally we could still use it to buy ourselves time and clear the board maybe. So Arcane Archery is a good combat trick and gives trample for our big creatures that could certainly use trample. You Line Out the Shot is a decent card that you can cycle for 1 mana to draw a card. Meteor Golem might be the best here for us now. We have ways to ramp into it, and it's a good sack fodder for Baba the Saga if we want the card draw and drain effect there. So, and it's technically removal, which we kind of need in this deck. Oh, Scaled Nurture, that is the perfect card. Band Together would be awesome, so would Pilgrim's Eye, but this is the perfect ramp for us. So We can gain some life. Maybe if we're lucky, we get a Lurking Roper in the next few picks or something that comes around to us. But perfect ramp goes awesome with the Raga Draga as well. And we're going to take this and never look back. Pilgrim's Eye would have been great there too with the Babala Saga, but I think we have enough sack fodder to where I'm okay missing out on one Pilgrim's Eye here. This pick doesn't matter too much. We could take the Spiked Pit Trap if we think that we need more removal, or we could take the Reckless Barbarian for ramping. I guess it is a dragon. Doesn't die to the breath weapon, and it is a dragon for Thrakkus and other different things. So, and it ramps, so maybe it's the right pick for our deck. Alright, so we get another Myconid. Yes, please. Wonderful, wonderful. I am feeling it with the ramp today. Let's go ahead and do with that. And we're picking it over more removal, but if we can just ramp into the big stuff and get it out early, then we can maybe get away with not having much removal in this deck. There's not really anything for us here. Another Circle of the Moon Druid. We're not going to play that, I'm betting, so we'll just go ahead and I guess we'll go ahead and just take the worst card or something or other. I don't know. Not really going to splash the Eyes of the Beholder. Incessant Provocation. Probably not. I mean, we do have the Babala Saga, so maybe I'll consider it. Babala Saga can sacrifice them, so I guess we'll just go ahead and take the Paladin because I like Paladins so much. We're not going to play any of these cards. Druidic Ritual, we're not really in the mill deck, so I guess I'll just go ahead and take maybe the... Let's go ahead and take a random card here. Doesn't really matter. Arcane Archery is a decent combat trick that gives trample, so... Oh, Pilgrim's Eye on the wheel. Yes, please. Alrighty. So we got a lot of cuts to make, but some of them are going to be pretty easy here. So we got basically everything that we could have wanted, other than removal, basically. But we have so much other stuff that it may not even matter. So Navigation Orb may not even be necessary. We have plenty of fixing and ways to grab lands. So I'm not sure if we really need the Navigation Orb here. And then I think we want to go ahead and cut, which one is it? Circle of the Moon Druid. And then I think we go ahead and cut, I mean, Dueling Rapier is good if you have like Thrakkus or Trample on a creature to just get in for a bunch of damage, but I think that the Arcane Archery is maybe the better pump spell, because then your creature can more easily survive a big attack. So attack in there, save your creature, give it trample, deal lots of damage, and Partridge in a Pear Tree. So Dueling Rapier is sack fodder for the Babala Saga, but I think we have plenty of other sack fodder for it, so I think we can get away with it. I think we only need one swamp here, and then we can do... I think we have definitely more green than everything else, so... But the Kobold Warcaller is a turn 1 play. We do have double green on our top end and no double red except for the Fireball, which you don't have to play it out right away. I mean, I've gotten burned by 17 land decks before, and with the Pilgrim's Eyes and the Prism and the Myconid. Don't really think that I need 17 lands in this deck because I have 2 Myconids, I have 1 Scaled Nurturer, I have 3 Pilgrim's Eyes, I have ways to ramp and get lands, I have ways to get treasures with the Young Red Dragon for 2 mana. This can also fix as well if I need like double red or some more red. Yeah, I got burned by 17 lands in one of my previous draft decks here, so I'm not going to go for 17 lands this time. I think that 16 should be enough. And we mainly have double green and very little in the way of heavy red mana here, so I think that this is right. We do have some good plays in red, but we definitely have ways to get the red mana here, so... So I guess the giant fire beetles, they aren't really synergistic in our deck, so we'll get rid of that. And it dies to the breath weapon as well, so maybe just isn't necessary here. Inspiring Bard, I think can go because we didn't end up with any of the lurking ropers or anything like that. So the pump effect is nice if you pump, say, a flying dragon and then get in over the top, but as a baseline, it's still a 4-mana creature that isn't really synergistic with what we're doing. Maybe Null Hunter can go because we can reliably get pack tactics if we ramp into a bigger creature than attack in with it, but other than that, it's usually just a 2-mana 2/2. We're not really an aggro deck to where we can get it activated right away, so we don't really have any 3/1 2-drops to easily activate this pack tactics. We'd have to do like Young Red Dragons to do that. Yeah, maybe we're off the Null Hunter and then 2 more cuts. 2 more cuts. I don't want to get rid of my removal here, so I have this for removal. I have a sweeper with Breath Weapon, which can deal with the aggro decks if I need to buy time. So I do like the Prism because it's sack fodder and it draws you a card and fixes for the Bubble Saga. So it's great with Bubble Saga. The War Color is nice because in the early game you can give the big creatures haste in your hand for free. Then later on when you play them and you have haste, then you can probably get in and attack with them for damage, like the Thrakkus, for example. And it is later on sack fodder for the Baba Saga when I don't really need the haste aspect anymore, or maybe I just need to draw cards and draw some action sooner. We have enough things to sack to the Baba Saga to where I still want to play it, and Raga Draga is great with these ramping creatures that we have. Arcane Archery is a great card, but I might have to cut it here. I mean, I do have lots of creatures here, but it's a very creature-focused deck. We don't really have much removal here. And, like, you have Thrakkus, you have Raga Draga, and you have Baba Saga. It's okay to be a creature-focused deck when you have the synergies for it. So I'm okay with that, and the ramp. Maybe the Hill Giant can go. It's not a dragon, and Thrakkus is going to buff up all my other dragons if we go and attack in. Also, the Draconic Muralist gets better if we have mainly dragons in our deck and we don't cut the dragons. So maybe the Hill Giant just isn't a fit for our deck. We already have the Dread the Norms as sort of super top-end cards that are 7/6s. So I think this may be just a better synergy for our deck. We kind of unintentionally made a really nice dragon deck here. We ended up with 11 dragons and 2 Thrakkuses and a Draconic Muralist as well. I guess the only thing that we're missing from this dragon deck would be the Miram, I think, is the legendary rare dragon for like 5 or 6 mana, and that's like 3 color, which would have been probably perfect for our deck, but we probably would have had to open it up in the initial, like our first pick kind of scenario for a pack, so because it doesn't usually wheel around, it's just a super strong card. So 6/6 flyer with Ward 2 is usually not going to be something that most players pass up on. So what is the final cut here? Arcane Archery is the easiest one to cut. I could see cutting the Prophetic Prism, but then that does hurt our curve quite a bit. We could cut a Young Red Dragon, but making the treasure token is nice, even just for Baba the Saga's sacrifice value, and for ramping and fixing, and so there's lots of things that you can do with the treasure token there. It's great to pump with Arcane Archery, but we may not even need it at this point. Like, we have other ways to pump. We have the 2 Thrakkuses. We have Raga Draga that can really pump the Dread the Norms, and even technically the Meteor Golem gets the benefit from this as well. If we want to get out the Meteor Golem, and then you can... Yeah, you can cast out Meteor Golem, use it as removal, and then you can untap something and then give the thing that untapped 7/7 and give it trample or whatever. So yeah, we could go ahead and give something like Understellar Myconid trample after ramping into Meteor Golem or the Scale Nurture or something like that. So it's kind of nasty in a way to where you can turn a ramper into a big threat or an even bigger threat. Yep. All right. So we're going to go with the good old green, red surprise dragons. Because it was a surprise dragon deck that I didn't even think would turn into a dragon deck. It just kind of happened. So maybe that's just kind of the draft strategy that I need to have from now on, is just pick the best cards. Everything will work out on its own, and whatever happens, happens, and you don't have to really force anything in the draft if you don't need to. So green was open. I stuck with green over white, green and red over white, so there were some strong white cards, but they weren't going to be synergistic with the deck. So this is what we've got, and I'll go ahead and head to the matches here. I'll see you for game one. Alrighty, here we go. Again on my own. Kudos anyone who gets that very vague song reference. Okay, so this is a pretty good looking hand. Warcaller into Innkeeper. And then we can go maybe... we'll probably draw into something here, but turn 4 Muralist is also pretty decent. We could just hold the Warcaller and then play it turn 3 to get the life gain value from the Innkeeper, but we could draw into something to give haste, so I'm just going to go ahead and probably play it out turn 1 here instead. You're on the draw, and that's a pretty good creature to give haste. Get in there with a 4/4. So getting in with a 4/3 would also be pretty strong, but I can give multiple creatures haste, so I'm not going to really worry too much about it unless they decide to use removal on my Warcaller. So Emerald Dragon. Yeah, and for the record, the adventure side of this card is very seldom used. Maybe if there's like a ramp artifact. Yeah, if there's like a ramping or fixing artifact, then maybe I can counter that ability to prevent the ramping, I guess. I don't know. I'm not even sure if you can do that. It would have to be some other kind of non-creature thing, I'm betting. So let's go ahead and play out the Innkeeper here. And then maybe I give the Muralist haste right now. You can also go ahead and wait and no attacks. What I can also do is I can just wait, and then if they decide to use removal on the Warcaller, then I can go ahead and give haste in response to have it be on the top of the stack of the triggers. And they probably attack here. Get in for 3 damage. I don't want to trade off the creatures that I have for it, so... Yep, that's fine. I can take 3 damage. With the Innkeeper, I can afford to take a little bit of damage here, so I think I'll be okay. So I don't want to forget to give haste here because I can play a 4-drop on turn 3 here, so... I think I'm going to go ahead and give the Muralist haste here, so let's do that. Ooh, Myconid is also very good too, especially with the Baba the Saga, but we already have the black mana for Baba the Saga, so I think I'm going to do this and then play out the Muralists and get in with it for 4 damage. Could give the Myconid haste as well this turn, or at the end of the opponent's turn. so that way they can play out that extra mana on the turn that we play it out. So we're going to be winning this race. They probably attack in with both of their creatures next turn since we don't have a good way to block them. But with the life gain and being able to get in there with our fat creatures, we probably win whatever race that they're going to try and invoke onto us here. Okay, so that's something that we can trade with, and I'd be okay with, because then we just get another big fat dragon card into our hand, so I am okay with that. I'm also okay with this. It's not exactly great to be taking this much damage, but for an aggro deck to not be pummeling you right away, you know, we have ways to mitigate it, I guess is what I'm saying. So you can give Baba the Saga haste, so that way when we can play it, we can attack in with it. We can also give the Emerald Dragon haste as well. So maybe on a future turn, maybe in 2 turns, we can give it haste and play it out with the Myconid ramp. Yeah, I think that's the best play. We probably don't attack in with Baba La Saga anyway if we play it out, so I think the Dragon's the best card to do that with because it has flying. Okay, so we don't draw a land, so I think that we just go ahead and play out the Myconid here. And it's a good thing I didn't give it haste, because then I wouldn't have anything to play with it, so we wouldn't be able to take advantage of the ramp this turn anyway, so. And of course, it's also very good with the Innkeeper, because then we have 2 creatures that give the synergy for the life gain there, so that's also very good. And we'll offer to trade here. They aren't going to trade. So we're probably winning the race here. We'll save the Kobold Warcaller for a chump block, I think. And then what we'll probably do is we'll give the Ragadraga, or not the Ragadraga. If we draw Thrakkus, I'd give that haste instead. If I probably give that haste, I could also just give the Ragadraga haste as well and get in with it. And then if I end up being able to play the Meteor Golem, that can do something pretty sweet with that, with the Ragadraga. All 3 lands. So it's kind of good, kind of bad. It's good in the fact that the opponent only gets to play a land off of that. It's bad because we kind of need lands right now to play our big stuff. So, double-edged sword right there. Okay, so they don't attack in. That's very surprising because, I mean, we would have had the chump block there. So let's just do this then. What I would have done there if they attacked is I would have chump blocked with the Warcaller, then tapped with it to give haste after the block was already made. So Dread the Norm is also interesting because the combat trick can make some very good use, but we could just do this and just make our blockers better, basically, to slow them down as much as possible. We could make the Myconid better as a blocker to make it a 3/4, which is a good blocker. It blocks both the Valor Singer and the Reckless Barbarian. Yeah, I think that's worth it here. Obviously, we're not going to be able to block with it this turn because we have to tap it for the playing it, but could have also played Baba La Saga, which would be valid as well, but we don't really have Pilgrim's Eye or an artifact out right now, so we're going to force the issue here and just attack in with the Muralists and force them to take some action here and trade with it. Otherwise they go down to probably too much life here. And I take it that they're going to sack that in response and then play out some removal spell. Yep, that's what they do. That's fine. It's going to deal some damage to them. We still have chump blockers, and we're still in pretty good shape, so... Better to have that get hit than the Baba Lysaga, so I'm okay with it. Alright, so that's a very threatening card, but if we can get the Meteor Golem out, we're still going to be okay as far as that aspect. Ooh, that's a good draw. That's a very good draw. Chump blocker for the red dragon. Get another land. They can't kill the Muralist with the red dragon, however. If we attack in with the Muralist, it would probably give away that we have a combat trick, but they're still probably forced to block in some way. But I really need the blocker for the Wrathful Red Dragon too, otherwise... I mean, it's only if it deals damage, but if I get rid of it right now, then that's kind of a moot point. Whatever dragon he controls. So the Jaded Sellsword would be... Yeah, let's just get out the chump blocker then. Let's get our land, get everything going here. Take action, and grab Forest, I think. No attacks. We're just going to have to grin and bear with this. We can lose one of our 1/1 creatures here to the Wrathful Red Dragon, but I think we're going to be okay if that happens. Now, Feshni is a nice fat creature. Hopefully we can draw a land here, so that way we can keep the action going. Okay, that's the right play. Let's see what they do here. So it's only going to be able to deal 1 damage, and they go for the Innkeeper. It's probably what I would have done. And let's give haste to... Lenorm would be the best bet, because I don't think that I'm going to attack in with Baba Lysaga, so... Let's give it to the Lenorm and untapped land. That is quite good. So what do we do now? We definitely want to be able to get the Meteor Golem out. 3 permanent types. We have creatures, we have lands, and then we need an artifact out there too pretty soon. Unfortunately, haste doesn't do much good for the Emerald Dragon here, so I think we just need to attack in with the Draconic Muralist here. Attacking in maybe isn't a full sign that we have a combat trick. We can still get a dragon into our hand from it dying. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay with this. We just want to get a powerful dragon into our hand, basically. And then let's go ahead and activate the haste here. And do it on... I guess the Baba Lysaga, maybe? Take action. We need a big fat dragon. Maybe Thrakkus is what we want? Yeah, I think that's actually what we want here. And then we can go ahead and play the Thrakkus, and then maybe we can get out Emerald Dragon. Do the pump effect with the Emerald Dragon over the top. Plus we can block at least the Valor Singer this turn, and if they attack with everything, Or if they attack with their 2 flyers, then we could win this turn, because they don't know that we have the Emerald Dragon waiting for them. So Thrakkus would have Trample, as well as the Emerald Dragon here, and they have no cards in hand. Yeah, I think we're going to steal a win here. So let's get in with the haste creature that they cannot block. Thrakkus with Trample as well. And then we attack with both of them. Actually, I think we attack with... This would have 6 power. And they can block... Do we want to attack with everything here? Can we kill them? So that would be 6. That would be 6 power. And then that would be 8 power. Getting in there. And then they both have trample. They have 5 toughness, 6 toughness. I think that we're 1 short. Oh, I'm going to attack anyway. Yeah, I think that we're 1 short of being able to win here. Okay, well they could have won the game, but they just kind of gave it away here. Good game, I guess. I mean, they could have won there by... They had 6 toughness to block the Thrakkus. I would have done 9 damage to them. If I'm reading this correctly, they had a 2-3, a 2-2, and a 1-1 that they could have blocked with, I think. Let me double check there, because, like, maybe I'm doing my math wrong here. They had a 2-2, a 2-3, and a 1-1. That was 6 total toughness. They could have blocked the Thrakkus and absorbed all 6 of the damage. I do 8 in the air. Another 1 from that. They have 10 life. And I end up doing 9 damage to them. So, yeah, I think that they just gave that game away there. We shouldn't have won that. They should have won. We should have lost. But I guess we'll capitalize on their mistake, I guess. So, I don't really feel good about that win. They should have won that. They should have realized that they could have gone to 1 if they blocked everything on the Thrakkus there. Or even if they just would have double blocked the Thrakkus and then blocked the 1-1, then they still could have done it. So, like, they had the ability to win that game and they gave it away. So I'm not feeling good about that one. We kind of got away with 1 there. Excuse me. We got away with 1 there is what I'm trying to say before the gas acted up in my pipes. So... Alright, so let's just move on to game 2 there and kind of overlook our opponent's blunder there and move on to game 2 here. So I'll be right back and be back with the recording and be back for game 2. Didn't take long for my next opponent to come waiting for me, so we'll see how this one goes. Hopefully we end up having a more... I mean, it's not any less legit to win off an opponent's mistake. I make mistakes too in matches, but... I mean, it's going to feel a lot better when you win because you feel like you did well and the opponent didn't just majorly screw up. So, this is a keep. We can get green mana with the Pilgrim's Eye. It is a bit of a slow hand, but we can get green mana. We can either play out the Myconid or the Muralist on turn 4 at least. And maybe we draw into something here, so we could draw into a Warcaller or a Prophetic Prism to draw a card, maybe. Right, so we draw some more lands here. It's not a terrible thing. We are a high-end deck, but we definitely want more green than red as far as mana goes, so I think that we just go with the Myconid now. And then we can get another green mana in the future turn. And plus, the Myconid isn't a bad thing to face tank some removal here if they have any. So, another Pilgrim's Eye is not bad. I'm just going to go ahead and play this. So I have a blocker on the field that can block their Vow if we want to. So, Yeah, because they can turn it into a 4/4 or something like that, but then they would only trade with the Muralists. Okay, so they get flying. They can... I mean, why not... That's weird. Why not specialize first, then duplicate? I mean, technically it means that you can specialize both of these cards instead of just specializing once and then doing the duplication, but in order to specialize both of them, that requires 10 mana to do that, so you have to specialize it twice, basically. So I don't know, maybe they're going for multiple types of effects there, but we could fireball the flying one just to make sure that they can't fly in over the top and they can't double block the Muralists. Yeah, and plus we have the Emerald Dragon too to fly over the top with, so actually if we do we can maybe kill both of them here and use the fireball to kill one of them and attack in here. So we'll see if they want to double block. Because we do get value if the Muralist dies, so the opponent may not be too concerned about trying to block it, or they might think that double blocking is something that I'm expecting and I'm not just getting in there for nothing, so... Let's get into damage. And then they can't... I mean, they can do... Well, it has Summoning Sickness, so it can't tap right now. So let's just do this now before they get more value off of it. We don't want them to lose endlessly here, so... Let's get rid of the copy, which is still pretty good for us. They can attack in if they want to, but then that means that they're not looting with it. And getting those study counters on it. So that's a chump blocker for the Emerald Dragon, but blue-green, not the most threatening deck type for the Pilgrim's Eye, except for splashing purposes, I suppose. Splashing and fixing. Well, if we draw into a Baba the Saga, we are in some awesome shape. Let's attack in with the Muralists first. And see if they want to trade here with their two creatures. I mean, they probably have something here. Maybe a bounce effect of some kind, or flicker effects. Maybe they chump block with a Pilgrim's Eye and then they blink it in and out of combat or something like that, if they have a blue spell for that. Then they play it out again to get another land with it. I don't know. We'll play our own Pilgrim's Eye to match, and then we'll get a forest probably. We have the Myconids and more Pilgrim's Eyes here, and we want the forest first, so let's take action. One Myconid plus another couple Pilgrim's Eyes means that we can play out Emerald Dragon. Oh, well, I guess I probably should have played out another Pilgrim's Eye there, but I forgot that I would have 3 lands after playing out that other one. So it's a mistake from me. Your good old friend Ryan is making mistakes here, just like my opponent from the last match, but this one isn't quite as bad. Maybe if they had a hasty flying creature, then maybe it would be more bad, but... So it looks like they got the Jade Orb of Dragonkind that I was hoping to wheel. So I guess they're doing that more for the fixing and the ramp elements for their weird blue-green deck that's just kind of a random looting type deck. I would have to imagine that they have like a Sword Coast Serpent in their deck, which we did see during the draft, I think, at some points. Some big creatures to get into here, so... Raga Draga would probably be the best thing to play, but I can do this, get a land, play it out, then get out the Raga Draga after that. I think that's what we do here. Yep, let's take action and get the land. This time we're going to go ahead and get our black mana. Get it now and not have to worry about it. Then we play our... do we play Ragadraga before combat? We could end up getting a dragon for the Draconic Muralist, so let's go ahead and do this first. If they want to trade a Pilgrim... I think we want to save the Pilgrim's Eye, actually, for the Baba the Saga if we draw into it. Let's see if they want to double block here and trade. They don't. They go down to 6. We play Ragadraga, and we have a good blocker. Then next turn we can play out Emerald Dragon, or if we... I guess a Kobold Warcaller would have the Summoning Sickness, so we couldn't give the Emerald Dragon haste next turn, but it would still be a good card to get out. And I guess they're going to get the Ettercat value there. And then they can maybe play a land here, and then play the Ettercat with the Orb of Dragonkind ramping there and fixing. Lots of blue mana. It's very uncommon to go blue as the main color in a non-dragon deck, but... because, like, they don't really have any heavy-hitting cards right now. The Ettercap is the biggest creature that they have, and it can block the Emerald Dragon pretty effectively, but... I guess we go ahead and do this, and then... guess we'll play the Emerald Dragon, and we'll just pass the turn here, since attacking with the Draconic Muralist doesn't really do anything here, and we can play this while they don't have any open mana. And then if they want to counterspell a Pilgrim's Eye next turn, then we'll just let them do it. Yeah, with no attacks. I don't want to give away my Muralist for free here, so... I mean, we could take out the Circle of the Moon Druid, but... or the Pilgrim's Eye, but... yeah, Pilgrim's Eye isn't really worth the trade here. Ancient Silver Dragon, that's one of the big creatures that they're looking to get. And it has hexproof, because it has the... oh, until the end of your next turn, okay. So it's not permanent, just until the end of their next turn. So we have the Pilgrim's Eye for a chump blocker. Young Red Dragon. I think we can play out the treasure token and still play out both of these, I think. So let's go ahead and play Pilgrim's Eye first, just to make sure I have enough mana for it. And another chump blocker for the Ancient Silver Dragon, so... let's do another green here. And then that would be 2 mana, then 4 mana. We have just enough lands for that, so let's go ahead and do that. Treasure for Baba Saga, and just random rampy type stuff. And we play out the dragon because they already know that we have it, so why not? And then if we draw like a... Dragon's Breath is okay. Drawing Dragon's Breath would be okay on their turn, because then we can kill 3 of their creatures with the land or the Moon Druid shifting over to a different shape. So no attacks here. We're just gonna sit back and hopefully try and top deck something here. We could try and get in for lethal next turn maybe, because we have lots of attackers that they're not going to be able to block all of them, but yeah, they don't really have anything good to put back to my hand here, so... I mean, more adventure value off the Young Red Dragon's fine too, so I'm okay with that. Yeah, maybe if we have enough flyers, we can... I mean, if we had enough flyers and they didn't have an Earth Cult or an Air Cult Elemental, then maybe I could have fly over the top to win, but... I mean, they should attack here, but they might want to leave back blockers. That way my Aerial Assault doesn't get them here, so... yeah, that's not a bad play by them, so I respect it. Oh, never mind. We won't play it this turn. Let's just do it this so we don't lose the treasure here. Let's play it. I mean, they already know that we have it, so why not? And then I guess we sandbag the land to make them think that we have something here. 5 open mana is enough for them to think that maybe we have Dread the Norm in hand, combat trick. Do we want to attack in with a Mirrorless and just try and get out a stronger dragon creature instead of holding back here? That is the question. Maybe we just sit back here and maybe we try and rely on the Ragadraga to get us there if we draw out a Dread the Norm or a Meteor Golem, perhaps. So basically we have 3 good top decks. We have the 2 Dread the Norms, the 1 Meteor Golem that would give Ragadraga lots of value and give a creature trample to try and get in for the win, or trade off with their board pretty effectively, like the Mirrorless would be a good card for that, because then I can get another Dread the Norm in hand. So yeah, we need one of our 7 drops here, or we're probably not going to win. Even though we have them at 6 life, they can still attack safely now with the red dragon or the silver dragon here. Yeah, breath weapon. I mean, it's okay, but not great. We can't do a whole lot with it unless, because like we can't use it to bring down their silver dragon by surprise. I mean, we could use it if they attack in to kill more of their creatures, but and like kill the Moon Druid and all the other stuff, but if we attack in, I don't know much good it's going to do with us, except for the Draconic Muralists here that they might be forced to block. But they can always just block it with the Earth Cult Elemental though, and then I don't really kill one of their more valuable things. But maybe at some point I have to attack in with it so I can get one of my stronger dragons for the Ragadraga value. Yeah, maybe I have to do it now and see if they want to kill it here, and then Breath Weapon can finish off something that blocks it. So we got to play it sometime, so, and we really do need one of our big creatures here, so they can't afford to just take it here. They have to either chump with the Pilgrim's Eye or something. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and do Breath Weapon now. This way we can kill the Elemental, Pilgrim's Eye, the Vow, and the Circle of the Land Druid also dies. So I don't mind losing a couple of my creatures there, so we get rid of some of theirs. I think it's better for us. So we lose a chump blocker, but now they only have 1 flying creature. I guess we don't technically lose the Muralist to that, so, but we get rid of some of their creatures, and if they attack with the Silver Dragon now, we get in for possibly lethal depending on what we draw here. So Dread the Norm could possibly win it for us if they attack here, since we can combat trick the creature that doesn't get blocked here, possibly, if we want to attack in at some point. So they could draw a lot of cards here with that. Maybe I just have to prevent them from just getting in for a bunch of cards here, but Thrakis, what are some, well, I think we have to block it here because otherwise they're going to have too many cards to work with. They could end up decking themselves if they draw a bunch of cards at this point though, so they roll a d20. If they draw too many cards, then they just lose, basically, and that's what we needed there. Emerald Dragon might be able to get there, so let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, I think we have to do the combat trick pre-combat. If we just hard cast this, it could get countered anyway, so yeah, let's just go ahead and do this. We have to do it pre-combat to get the trample value off of this, so let's see if they have a counter spell in hand. Undersimplify wouldn't do it because I have the mana to pay the additional costs, so they have to be the double blue counterspell type, so. And then we can go ahead and, I don't want to tap the mic in it, I think I want to use the treasure token first. Then play this, and then we can give Emerald Dragon Trample. And it has hexproof, so they can't use removal on it. And I think that we win. It has hexproof, so they can't kill it. They would need the 7 mana black sweeper effect to take it out of commission here. Yeah, I think we only need to attack in with this. We do have enough damage. I guess technically they have the Eder cap, so let's attack in with everything here. Yeah, they can block with the Eder cap because it has reach to have it deal only 3 damage with the trample. But at least this way we can get in there for 3 and then we force them to block on the ground without very many effective blocks, and they can't kill the Emerald Dragon. So we force them to take some damage here. They can't attack with the Silver Dragon now. They have to keep it in on defense. So, and we get another dragon card with the Mirrorless here as well. So let's kill this first. Okay, so they can attack with the Silver Dragon, but they probably don't want to, so. And then we're just going to get probably another Dread the Norm here for the Ragadraga value and go in for the win next turn. Alright, so Earthquake Dragon, I don't think that's going to get them there, personally. We can still get in too much damage next turn. Plus, Dread the Norm cannot be blocked by the Moon Druid, so. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and do Combat Trick. I guess we can do it with the Dread the Norm, because they can't chump block it here. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this for the Dread the Norm. And then we'll play this out. Oh, I didn't. Oh, I guess. Yeah, I guess this isn't too bad here. Let's do Dread the Norm here. Yeah, that auto tap really screwed us. I wanted to use the treasure token. Oh. Yeah, I would have won here if the auto tap didn't screw me there. So, but I think that we win anyway because of the trample damage here. So they're forced to double block or do things, and trample is going to get us there. So even though the auto tap kind of screwed me and I wanted to use the treasure token instead, I think that we still went there. So Anyway, good game from the opponent. They had some really good cards in their deck, so I mean, if you have the bomb-type cards in blue, it definitely is worth playing, especially if you have the, again, high mana dragons there. The ancient dragons are very, very strong. They kind of remind me a bit of the dragons from the Kamigawa set, that were the sort of double-colored dragons, mythic rares that gave you very desirable effects when they died, basically. So, like, high-value dragon cards from the Kamigawa set. Alright, so we have had some very lengthy matches here, and we're only 2 games in, so this is going to be more of a lengthy video with the dragon sort of deck I have here, so let's go ahead and get in for Game 3 here, and I'll see you then. Well, that was quick. Only had to wait a moment there, and then my opponent was suddenly right there. And our opponent loves the video games, so this is an interesting hand, but the young red dragon kind of makes this keepable. We can do turn 1 Warcaller, turn 2 Dragon Treasure Token, and then turn 3 maybe Innkeeper and do another Treasure Token, and then hopefully by then we've drawn some more mana or Pilgrim's Eye or something like that. So treasure tokens make this hand keepable at the very least. We can get out some creatures, and then hopefully by turn 3 or 4 we'll have drawn at least one kind of land. Alright, well, speak of the devil, there's the land that we needed. I don't mind them using the Spiked Pit Trap on the Warcaller here. Innkeeper, on the other hand, I don't think that I want to have it get Spiked Pit Trapped, but you might have to. I don't know, maybe I just go ahead and have the Innkeeper get hit here. Yeah, let's just go and play out the Innkeeper, and then we'll give, let's wait until it's their turn first, and then I'll give it haste in case they have removal that they want to use on the Warcaller. They might have, like, they might play a creature, and then they can play Patriarch's Humiliation or something like that. That's fine. Rather than do that on an Innkeeper than something else, so Dread the Norm, you're up to bat when we're eventually going to be able to play you, and then I don't want to use treasure tokens on that, so Raga Draga, on the other hand, I could very much use some treasure tokens on that one, so yeah, I can give Raga Draga haste and get in with it here, but do I want to have it die to removal is the question. Because a Spiked Pit Trap would kill it, and Red Dragon can still get us in for the damage that we would want. Yeah, maybe that's better. I think that if I want something to eat removal, I'd rather have it be the young Red Dragon. Do I have a way to deal with that enchantment? I don't think that I do, so I think I'll just use the treasure now. If I had a way to deal with that, or bring it back to my hand or something like that, then I would do that, but we'll just get in here. They're not going to have enough mana here to be able to use the Spiked Pit Trap now, so I can get in for 6 damage before they use it on my dragon, so... And I can also safely get out the Dread the Norm and not worry about Spiked Pit Trap on it, because it's going to have 6 toughness, so... maybe I can just do the Raga Draga now, and just get in for a bunch of damage, and then force them to use the Spiked Pit Trap. It would make my Scale Nurture better if I have the Raga Draga out, and I do want to kind of draw a land here if possible, but I think that it's just too good to pass up. Let's just get in for damage here before they can get their value going. Let's get in there, and then we can draw a card with Prism next turn. They don't have a good block here, so we're just going to get in for 7 damage. Patriarch's Humiliation could kill the young Red Dragon if they have it, but if they want to use it on the young Red Dragon, then it's better than the Dread the Norm, so... And then if they have one more mana here, they can do Spiked Pit Trap on Raga Draga, which, again, not really a bright prospect, but we have enough in our hand to where we can still reasonably deal with that, so... So they do band together instead. I'm okay with that. I knew that they probably had some more removal in their hand and they were debating using it, so... Sylvan Shepherd does make it a bit tougher to race them here because of the life gain, but I'm going to soon get out to a big fat creature here, so... excuse me, I'll do Scaled Nurture plus the Prism, I think. I could also do Dread the Norm. I could hold up the Dread the Norm combat trick as well. So that way if they use like the Spiked Pit Trap on the Raga Draga, then they can't kill it with that. But I think I have to go ahead and just play out my stuff now, I think. And hope for the best here. Let's do Prophetic Prism, maybe we draw a land, and then next turn we have some more ramp. Very good, I like that. I think we attack in here. We have a blocker for the Sylvan Shepherd now, so I think we're going to be okay. And we can double block it now with the Warcaller here, so... Dread the Norm already has haste, so I think we're in good shape here. They probably use that on the Raga Draga now, which I guess is the reason why I would have wanted to hold up the Dread the Norm there, so... That's unfortunate, and the Skill Nurture makes it to where we can't block the Shepherd now very reliably, but... We're still in good shape to win the race here. We have the Fireball to help us out, so... Maybe the safer play was just holding up the Dread the Norm combat trick there, so... You live and you learn. So I can do the Young Red Dragon Treasure, and then I can go ahead and... Let's give it haste. And then we can do the treasure token thing. And then next turn we can go ahead and use the treasure to ramp into the Dread the Norm even if we don't draw a land. And then we get in here for 3 as well as gain life, so... And if they have more removal, then hopefully the Young Red Dragon eats it and then Dread the Norm is free to get in there for lots of damage for the win. And then we have a Fireball for safekeeping in case they draw something here that's going to be something to match us, so... Flaming Fist Officer, not the biggest threat on its own. I mean, we can fly over the top, and it also can't block our Dread the Norm, so we can still easily win here. And I think that we just get in for the win, because they cannot block Dread the Norm, and 1 green mana isn't enough. There aren't any green combat tricks that I know of that could give them one... or give them extra power or toughness enough to block the Dread the Norm. Yeah, I think that we just go ahead and do Dread the Norm. And we fly over the top with Red Dragon, and then Dread the Norm cannot be blocked, and we get in for the win. Alright, well that was a quicker match than most. We ramped into some of the good stuff. We had them use removal on what we had on the board to kind of bait them into their removal, and then we got out the Dread the Norm for the win. So, Dread the Norm, probably the, in my opinion, the strongest common in the set. Some people will say that the Rabble Rouser and Red or the Patriarch's Humiliation for the 1 mana white removal are probably the best commons in the set, but by my book, it's the Dread the Norm. It's a dragon, good combat trick value, adventure card. You can get it back with the Draconic Muralist, good and green-black for the reanimation deck. And then it's also really great with the Raga Draga value to get something in with trample and a big buff. So I am really loving this deck so far, and so is the win column with 3 wins, 0 losses. So... And we have another opponent waiting right for us out of the gate. So, Maxwell Bright. Let's see if your plays are going to be bright enough to deal with our dragon action. That's been tough to deal with for our opponents, even an opponent that had an ancient silver dragon in their deck. So yeah, I think this is a keep. We can do turn 2 Red Dragon Treasure into turn 3 Baba the Saga, or maybe we can just do Pilgrim's Eye and then Baba the Saga to sack the treasure token as well. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do this. So we'll do the red first. I think we hold off on the Baba the Saga, so that way we can go ahead and do these other things first to set up for it. Plus, more lands in the field means that you can also sack the lands if you want, so... Fireball's not bad. I think I'll just go ahead and play the Pilgrim's Eye for now and get another green mana here. Or our double green. Then next turn I can play out the black mana and get out the Baba the Saga. Could get out Thrakkus as well, but since I don't have a way to give it haste, I don't think I want to do that, because the Warcaller giving it haste would be great if I had been able to play it turn 1, but because turn 4 Thrakkus with haste would be very strong, but since we don't have the Warcaller, we're not going to do that, so... what does this do again? Equip creature has Death Touch and Lifelink. Okay, that's going to be a bit of a problem, but I think that we just do the Baba Saga now and get it out, and then we can get the value engine going. We have several lands here, so we can definitely just have them sacrificed if we need to. We have big things to play out, but we have ways to ramp into it. More Pilgrim's Eyes that we can draw. Okay, so that's a strong thing to equip. Especially with the lifelink. 4 damage and lifelink would be pretty strong. But we do have the Fireball to deal with it. If they equip it next turn, I could still chump block if I want to, and use the Baba the Saga sacrifice effect as well. So yeah, I think what I can do is I can just play out the Thrakkus, and then I can do Baba the Saga sack. And then they don't get any of the lifelink at all. Yeah, so I can maybe buy some time here and play out Thrakkus would be the best use of mana here. Yeah, let's just go and play the Thrakkus. And then let's go to combats and fight. Well, if I'm going to do the sacrifice, I think I just want to keep Pilgrim's Eye on defense. I can sacrifice in response, so I think that's what I want to do with the Baba the Saga, so I can prevent them from getting the life gain going. Could have held up the Fireball too to kill the Werebear possibly, but it has hexproof. It would have to deal damage, and I would have to chump block for it to lose the hexproof, so they might attack in here, but they might also hold it back, so that way we can't attack in ourselves. So we assign blockers here, and then we are going to do Baba the Saga sack and get in lots of value here. We're going to sack the black mana here because I already have Baba the Saga out. So I think this would technically count as 3 because that's an artifact and a creature, and this is a land, so they don't gain lifelink and they don't deal damage to us, so I like it. Another Pilgrim's Eye is going to be pretty awesome here. Innkeeper's also good with the treasure. So I might just want to use a Pilgrim's Eye or the Innkeeper for a chump blocker. So let's go ahead and play out red mana here. The fireball, we don't have enough mana for that with the Pilgrim's Eye, so I think we just want to play some stuff out probably. So let's see what they have in their hand here. Maybe they have like a band together or something like that. Band together's removal could kill either of those. They could use it on Baba the Saga here. I guess they have Blur. Okay, so they're going to be able to block with it, I guess, but it's not going to change a whole lot for us, so... We have the Fireball that can finish it off at least, so I'm okay with this. Now that it no longer has Hexproof, we do this and kill it. And we do some damage to them as well, so... While the Basilisk Collar is going to give them lifelink on whatever they play next, we still have plenty of things that we can play out here. We have some dragons that can get in with the pump from Thrakis that fly over the top, so... They know that we have one young red dragon that we can play. They don't know about the other one yet. I don't know if they want to trade the Skanos, but... let's go ahead and do the green mana here, and then... Guess we can do Innkeeper, then Pilgrim's Eye, or Innkeeper, then Red Dragon. Innkeeper, then Pilgrim's Eye is probably better, but then again, we want to get a dragon out for Thrakis value and getting in there for damage, so... I think we want to do this and make a chump blocker, then we can play out this dragon, gain some more life, and then hold back the Thrakis so that way the young red dragon gets pumped on offense. Then next turn we can play the Pilgrim's Eye plus the red dragon, so we have a chump blocker as well as another flyer in the air. They will get lifelink value here, but if they attack with it and they don't have a creature that they can play, then they're in big trouble. So yeah, it's going to be lots of lifelink here, but at the end of the day, you know, we're still going to be able to get in with our own damage, so... And plus, we still can kill the Skanos with a double block, so... Maybe they don't want to get in with it right now. Basically, all depends on what other creatures that they have in their hands, so... So this can't, because they specialized before combat, which I think was a mistake. They wanted to specialize after combat, because then they could pump Skanos itself, I think. If I was reading the card correctly before, I think that's how it would work. Do we want a chump block? The 6 damage to us I don't think matters that much. And the Pilgrim's Eye makes a better chump blocker anyway, so I think we're just going to let them hit us here. They still gain the life either way, so I don't think that we don't really need to go ahead and block there. So is kind of what I'm saying, I guess. So if we do Pilgrim's Eye and we have 7 mana, so yeah, we can do both of these. I guess it doesn't make much of a difference if we do it pre-combat. This does have Vigilance. Let's go ahead and do this first and get rid of their Skanos. They can trade the Skanos with the Thrakis if they really want to. They don't. They're maybe banking on lifelink here, so... I guess we might as well search for a land. Can't hurt to have more. Then we'll play this to make sure we can get in for hopefully lethal next turn with Thrakkus. And if they don't have removal for Thrakkus, I think they're dead no matter what. Because pumping 3 dragons in 1 attack, and then we can get in with 2 1/1s to maybe finish them off. Yeah, that's not going to be enough, I think. Even with Skanos having Vigilance here, I don't think it's going to be enough for them, so... I'm not going to block here because I want as many attackers as I can get for offense, so... And they gain the life anyway. I think I just need to race them here and get in for the win. So yeah... Dread the Norm, I think, is going to get us there, actually, so... If I had a Kobold Warcaller, I could give it haste and get in there for the win, but... I think we just attack in with everything. And see if they have, like, removal or something like that. Dread the Norm also untaps the creature if we want to go ahead and make sure we have a blocker on the downswing or the backswing here from the opponent. So yeah, I think that what we do, we have them dead in the air, so I think we just go ahead and 2+1/+1 counters means we get some trample damage as well. So yeah, they must have some kind of combat tricks, so let's go ahead and do this. Force them to have something in their hand here, I guess. They have to have 2 spells. 1 removal spell isn't going to do it, so... Get in the air for 12 damage, and we win! Even with lifelink, they didn't have enough, so... Getting the trample damage in with the Dread the Norm was what got us there, and even if they survived, they don't have anything on the board to help them, so... Yep, that was a good game. The opponent had, again, strong cards, but... Our dragons are finally getting there in the right deck for them, so maybe this is going to be the flawless victory that I'm looking for and going 7-0. So let's move on to match number 5 and the magic number that we need to go ahead and have the self-sustaining amount of gems. So don't want to jinx it, but if there's a deck that I would want to go 7-0, it would be the dragon deck, because that's probably my favorite archetype from the set. With the Pilgrim's Eyes, I think that we're going to keep this. Scale Nurturer, not getting it out on turn 2 hurts, but we are in the draw. We could draw green mana in our 2 draw steps before we can play it, so... Pilgrim's Eye gets us green mana here, so I think that makes it keepable. And Treasure Token is also nice as well, so... So we can Treasure Token turn 2, and then Pilgrim's Eye turn 3 is not bad turn progression here, so... We'll wait on that, and looks like they might be a blink deck, maybe some aggro in there as well with the white. Soldiers of the Watch is going to get their double team value here, but not much I can do about it. Even Scale Nurture would just die to it, so I wouldn't block with it. Priest of Ancient Lore is going to get them some nice curve out value here. We're going to do this and get the treasure now. Get the land that we needed. I think I'm just going to do Pilgrim's Eye here so we have a chump blocker. And we'll get green mana here. And then we can get black mana with the next Pilgrim's Eye. So now we can kill one of their 1/1s. I think I'm going to kill the Priest of Ancient Lore here because that has the better blink value here, so they might just be forced to use a blink spell here. Right, so Indestructible is okay too. I mean, I'd rather you have them use Indestructible there than on a more important creature as far as trading goes. So we can do the Thrakkus here, and that can pretty effectively block everything that they have. I lose scaled nurture value by not being able to go ahead and get it out before playing the dragon, but I can still play it out before the young red dragon and the emerald dragon and dread the norm, so I think we just do the Thrakkus now. Hope that they don't have a Patriarch's Humiliation in hand to kill it if they can draw a creature or play out their Soldiers of the Watch or their Hippogriff. So yeah, it definitely looks like it's blue-white flicker with a black splash of some kind, I'm thinking. If they're attacking with everything, I think I'm going to go for the Paladin because it has lifelink. And the Pilgrim's Eye can still trade off with the 2/1s that they have, so... Okay, now I think I can do Scaled Nurturer and then also Pilgrim's Eye as well. Let's do Pilgrim's Eye and get the black mana. And we might as well play it out because they know that we have it, and then we can do Scaled Nurturer here. No attacks. I think that we just want to slow them down for now. And then when we have a Emerald Dragon or Dread the Norm out, then we can attack in for big. They have their own value engine as well, but the Dread the Norm, if we can get that out, they don't really have anything that can block it. We can just get in there for lots of damage, because 3 power or less means that we get in there and they're very close to dead with Thrakkus doubling his power, so... So do I want to just play the Emerald Dragon for a blocker, then pass maybe? Raga Draga does make our Scale Nurture a better blocker. Yeah, I can play Raga Draga next turn, then do like Dread the Norm combat trick and hold that up. Yeah, I think we just play out the Emerald Dragon and pass here. It can block all the creatures that they have, so... And then I'm going to hold Pilgrim's Eye back because it can block their 2/1s pretty effectively, so... Ward 2 probably won't matter with all the open mana that they have, but... At the very least, it causes them to use more of a mana sink if they have like a Grim Bounty here. I guess maybe it's black-white with a blue splash of some kind. Since I've seen much more black than blue, obviously, so... Maybe they're splashing like OG, the legendary monk creature that gains life and scries, so... OG is usually pretty good for the Flicker decks, so it would make sense. Yeah, so they're going to make tokens here, which is pretty bad. I don't really have a removal to deal with the Shadow Heart, however, so I think I'm going to have to get there by racing them. And maybe getting in with like the Dread the Norm value here. Plus Emerald Dragon as well, and the Raga Draga. So how much mana do I have here? I have 7 mana plus a Scaled Nurturer for 8. I can do Raga Draga plus the Young Red Dragon. Can't hold up the Dread the Norm combat trick, but I can have a lot of creatures up, so... And Scaled Nurture becomes a much better blocker this way, so I think we do this. Gain some life. I think we just hold up as long as possible until we get the Dread the Norm online and try and get in for lots of damage, so... Yeah, so Emerald Dragon would be able to get in over the top for lots of damage, and then Thrakkus as well would have trample if it attacks. Yeah, we might have to get in with the Emerald Dragon here for the win, actually. Because they are going wide like the Dickens, so... Undersoul or Myconid would be a good play here too, but I think that what we have to do here is we have to go ahead and do the Thrakkus Emerald Dragon plan to get in for the win and trample over them. We can do Dreadland Norm now to give +7/+7 to Emerald Dragon. Then we double its power to trample over the top. So I think that's what we do here. And then I think that we don't play, or we don't use the Scaled Nurture for the life gain, so we can keep it back as a blocker. So let's do this now. They have no mana, so they have absolutely no mana, so we do this. We attack in with the Thrakkus Emerald Dragon. How much would this be? 22 damage. With Trample, they can block 3 of the damage with the Hippogriff. So it would be 18 damage, and then Young Red Dragon would be 21. And then I guess we would get in with the Pilgrim's Eye here. And the Young Red Dragon. And then we can leave back some blockers on the backswing and then go in for the win, because they can't block the Dreadland Norm except with their win condition. If I attack with Scaled Nurture, it gets double power and trample too. But I don't think it's worth it to do that, so... Yep, I think that they are dead, because it doubles the power of the Young Red Dragon too. I kind of forgot all about that. Red Dragon, Young Red Dragon gets double power as well, and Pilgrim's Eye plus Emerald Dragon will get there. Because I don't think that they have any lifelink creatures on the field, so that's not going to work for them. So Thrakkus, I think we... No. I guess it doesn't really matter either way, so we'll just do that and kill all those. Yep, no lifelink, we win! I don't know how we did that, but the Raga Draga is really dragging our opponents into the grave, so... This has definitely been my most fun deck so far that I played in any format. In Standard, in Constructed, in Draft, Limited, whatever you want to call it. Definitely the most fun deck I've ever played. I don't know how we won that. Like, they were just going wide and draining our life. They were eventually going to be able to win, but we get through there because we have Trample. And they just don't have enough flying creatures to deal with our dragons over the top. And the Pilgrim's Eye also played a role just attacking with that. So sometimes you just have to use the best defense can just be a really good offense and just trampling over them. And then next turn, Dreadland Norm could have gotten in there as well to kill their win condition if they chump block with it. So, yep. That was a very fun match, and now we get the 1600 gems to do yet another draft video at some point in the future. And let's move on to match number 6. Can we make it a perfect 7-0 against these tough decks we're going to be facing inevitably, because the decks that we'd be facing at this point would be the ones that have won at least several games. So I will pause the recording, and I will see you guys then for the 6th match. So what hapless victim will we face next against our dragon deck? We have Prime Time! Wonder if his real name is Dion Sanders or not. Okay, well, let's get in here with, yeah, turn 2 Prism into turn 3 Myconid, maybe turn 4 Thrakkus is actually a pretty good curve for us, so... Ideally, we would end up having a Kobold Warcaller to give the Thrakkus haste, but... Still a good keep. We draw a card on turn 2. Can fix for the black mana for Thrakkus more easily without tapping the Myconid, so... Chihira is a strong one, and they're green-red already, so that's interesting. Let's draw a card here and see what we get. Another land isn't good, even though we're only 16 lands, we're already flooding out, but we do have some big creatures to play, so we can probably draw into something not really necessary Pilgrim's Eye, but I do think that we want to play the Myconid here, so let's do this. at the very least, maybe if they don't play another creature here, we can get in with it. So, okay, so Druid of the Emerald Grove gets them some ramp of their own. One into the battlefield and one into their hands, okay? So it's like a semi-cultivate effect, except they get a creature on the field as well for 1 more mana, so we don't block here. I think we want to keep our stuff for the Baba the Saga or other things, so we're really flooding out, but on the other hand, turn 4 Thrakkus is still pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and take it. We at least stop their attacks for now. I don't think that they want to attack him with Jaheira before specializing, so... Alright, so Thrakkus gets killed. That's kind of unfortunate. So yeah, they had the removal that they needed. I could have maybe played the Pilgrim's Eye to slow them down and assume that they have removal waiting, but... There's not really much that you can do when you're on the flood like this, so... Maybe shuffling our deck with the Pilgrim's Eye will do it for us. Let's get our black mana over here for the Baba the Saga and pass the turn. We probably have already lost the match. At this point, I don't think there's any coming back from it, so we'll just have to hope that they have nothing else and we can draw into like a Dread the Norm or something big like that. Red removal probably wouldn't be able to kill the Dread the Norm, so it usually is damage dealing, and with 6 toughness it's kind of hard to kill it, so... And Band Together would be hard to kill it as well if they don't have a bigger creature out there, so... I think I just have to chump here. Unfortunately, with First Strike, I wouldn't be able to kill the Hobgoblin Captain, so I kind of have to just do this. That's the card I would have hoped that we would have drawn, but Speak of the Devil, we did draw it, and we can at least trade the Muralists and get an even bigger dragon out there, so... I don't know, there's still hope. Not much hope, but there is some hope that if I can get a Dread the Norm out, that I can maybe stabilize here. Emerald Dragon wouldn't be bad either, but I need something that's just big, really big, so... Plus the Combat Trick side can maybe allow us to block one of their creatures, I don't know, but... So yeah, I definitely want to trade with the Jaheira instead, and then we want to go ahead and chump block the 4-power creature here. If they had a Combat Trick, the game would always basically be over already, so we need... The game might already be over, because we don't really have enough blockers here to deal with what they have. Meteor Golem could save us as well if we draw that as removal and a creature. I think that we just need a good old-fashioned Dread the Norm here. Alright, so Innkeeper, would we have enough mana is the question. So we have 6 mana right now, we get 7 mana out, we can make a treasure. Not quite enough. If I could do Innkeeper plus Dread the Norm, then I could get 1 extra life. But I don't think I have enough mana for that, so that would be 7. This makes a treasure, and yeah, we would need 1 more mana. Okay, well... I think that we're just dead here, but I'll play it out anyway, because... Why not? Don't have enough creatures to be able to deal with what they have, so we'll just give them the good old-fashioned GGs and kill one of their creatures and get one of those things going. We didn't go on the... We didn't have a clean sweep here. Unfortunately, we just flooded out there on a 16-land deck, but it is what it is. You can't win them all, so... I'd still be very happy to get to 7 wins with this deck, and flooding out is something you can't really control. Maybe we should have just played the Pilgrim's Eye earlier to make the deck reshuffle, and hopefully we get rid of those lands that are flooding us out. So, but there's no way to know if you're going to flood out or not. So that's kind of, you know, hindsight's 2020 kind of thing. So you don't really know that you're going to flood out ahead of time, and so you can't know if you want to play the Pilgrim's Eye to reshuffle unless there's one particular card that maybe you bottomed with another kind of effect. So, and there are some effects that put cards under the bottom of your deck instead of in the graveyard. So, yeah, if we had something like that, then it would have been worth it. But anyway, we'll go to the next match here, and I will pause the recording, and I will see you guys for match number 8. I think I made a mistake last time. I think it's match number 7. Apparently, I can't math. Yeah, I just wanted to say that real quick because I knew that I was doing my math pretty poorly, and I guess my opponent showed up while I'm in the middle of that spiel. We're on match number 7, not match number 8. So we're 5-1 on to match number 7 with an unkeepable hand. If we draw a land, we're okay. If not, we are in rough shape. We can play Myconid turn 3 if we draw any land. And we're on the draw, so we have 3 draw steps to get the Myconid out, and then ramp and fix for the other things. It's a risky keep, but it's much better to be mana screwed than to be flooded, so I'd much rather go with this and risk it. And we get the land that we needed. So obviously it's a slow hand, but it's a good hand. We are going to be able to get out some of our stronger options, and the Myconid is going to be a strong blocker with the Raga Draga. Plus we have the Raga Draga plus Dread Lenorm combo going as well, so that's also very strong. So it's another red-green deck it's looking like. Oh no. What am I saying? I think that we're playing Prime Time again. I think that was the person that we just played. We're playing them again. Hello! Hello again. We're playing another match. I think we just do the Myconid. Well, they have removal in their deck. Maybe you don't want to play the Myconid first. Maybe I can play the Muralists instead, turn 4. Then I at least get value if they have removal. Yeah, I think that's the better play. We know that they have removal in their deck since we played them last time. I mean, exact same username, so pretty sure it's the same person, so, or the same player, so. I think we're going to go ahead and trade here. It's a good situation for it. If they have a combat trick and they want to use it, then it's fine. They get a land value off of it, but it's not really ramping. It's just getting an extra land in their hand, so I'm okay with that. And so now we can do... I guess we can't do Myconid into Prism this turn, but we can do the Muralists. And if they have removal, then Muralist gets us some value at least, so let's go ahead and play out this, and then we'll play out Muralists. We can't block the giant fire beetles yet because they have Menace, but we can do the... we can attack with the Muralists ourselves, so... yeah, I'd be okay trading with an Owlbear here, so... yes, now the question is, what do we want to do next? We can do Myconid plus Prism. We can hold up a Dread Lenorm combat trick as well. And then we can... oh, I guess untapping it doesn't do much good though because of the Menace. Let's attack in first and see if they want to trade here. They don't. Okay. Yeah, I think we have to just play out the Myconid here and then do the Prism to just draw more action and just get our ramp out, get fixing out, and that's a pretty good card for us. We can take care of both Fire Beetles. Owlbear has Trample, so I don't want to block that, so I'm just going to have to let it go for now. I'm going to have to get in there with Breath Weapon and get lots of value off of that, so... And we certainly can. I would probably want to ramp with the Myconid first before doing Breath Weapon. If I play Raga Draga first, though, then the Myconid gets big enough to where the Breath Weapon doesn't kill it, though. But I also need a flyer for the Malfeshni. Otherwise, it just kills us here. I'm in a rock in a hard place right now. If I had a way of gaining life, such as with the scaled Nurturist or whatever, then I could play something out and tank the 4 damage another turn, but I might be forced to play out a chump blocker. What do I want to do here? I don't have enough mana, I think. Well, actually I do. I have 6 mana and 7 with the Myconid. Yeah, so I'm going to have to do this. And then we're just going to have to pass, I think. Yeah, I think we're going to have to assign blocks and then play the Breath Weapon here to save us. We need the flyer because we need a chump blocker for the Malfeshni, so I think we assign blockers first here. We don't have enough damage output to kill the Malfeshni, unfortunately, but then I think that we can trade with the Myconid and this at the very least to prevent that damage. I think we assign blocks and then... Oh, I think I screwed up there. I think I screwed up because the Undersolar Myconid is not going to survive here. Trample, I think, is going to kill us. Oops, I pooped. I had a brain fart. I did that all wrong. I needed the Muralist to block the Owlbear there. This isn't going to get us there because now I kill my 2 blockers. I can't kill the Owlbear. And then the Owlbear does the trample damage to us, so I goofed up there. Oops. 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 Yeah, I guess if I had the chump blocker, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just a bad matchup for us with their deck. They're like a red-green aggro with some curve-topping big creatures there, so I just don't know why I had to play them back-to-back. They already, like, not best of 3, so like maybe I can play a different player now. Playing the same player back-to-back is very uncommon in the Premier Draft here, so... it is what it is. They beat us twice. On the other hand, we just weren't able to curve out the way that we needed to there. We had too slow of a hand in both of our games against them. So, all right, so let's go to game 8 here and hope that we get a different opponent. All right, so we're already into our next game here. Thankfully, it's a different opponent. Alright, so we're on the play at the very least. With a Pilgrim's Eye, they can get an extra mana, and then... It is a bit too slow, though. I mean, we really want a ramping creature on turn 2 or turn 3. But we have the mana, we have Pilgrim's Eye, we have some good creatures. I think I'm just going to have to risk it and hope that the Fireball can buy me time if it's like... an aggro deck of some kind. Since I am on the play, I can maybe kill one of their 4-drops or 5-drops of the fireball. I think I'll show green first against them. Muralist isn't a bad draw. We can do that on turn 4 at the very least, so... Turn 3 Pilgrim's Eye into turn 4 Muralists, so it's not terrible. Young Blue Dragon would be a good target for the fireball as a flying creature that we don't want to fly over the top and take out too much of our life here. I have to assume as green-blue that they're probably a dragon deck. Green-blue are dragon colors, and green has the fixing and ramp for the dragons, so... So let's do Pilgrim's Eye, take action, and let's grab our black mana now for the Baba the Saga. We already have double red and double green, so I'm okay. And next turn, and there's another Jade Orb of Dragonkind that I would have wanted. Another good ramp element to buff up a dragon, so... Dragonborn Looter... I mean, it's not going to be able to attack into the Muralist, so I think we just go and play the Muralist this turn. I played my black mana there just because they already know that I have it, so let's get in for 1. The next turn we get our double red for the Fireball if they play out something big. Alright, well that's something big. 4 or 5 creature is a good thing to hit. It does have hexproof though until their next turn, so I'd have to hold up the Fireball. Baba the Saga is a really good draw, but do I want to play it and hold up the Fireball instead? I don't want to use Pilgrim's Eye as a chump blocker here, so I think I just have to pass it. Nope, 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 nope. No misclicks. No misclicks, please. That would be bad. That would lose us the game. I just need to hold up the Fireball and hope that they don't have a counterspell in hand right now. It's uncommon for a deck like this to have a counterspell, but they could have an Undersimplify. Undersimplify is a somewhat common pick, so... Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do the Pilgrim's Eye just in case they have a counterspell here, so I can at least stop the damage. Then we'll do the Fireball on that since it no longer has hexproof, and let's see if they have a combat trick or a counterspell here. They have the counterspell, so as I thought, they have the counter. I needed to wait for them to tap out so I could do the Fireball, but on the other hand, the Young Blue Dragon had the hexproof already, so... But it does mean that we can get out the Baba the Saga here, and then we can do Pilgrim's Eye next turn and sack it to Baba the Saga. Yeah, Pilgrim's Eye and Young Red Dragon next turn would be pretty good. We could also just play the Thrakkus and then get in with the Muralist on the backswing here. But I think I'm just going to go for the value engine here. Well, then again, if we do the Pilgrim's Eye now, we can play the land this turn. Yeah, but I think we're just going to play the Baba Saga anyway. They're tapped out, so they can't counter it. There's no 1-mana counterspell that I know of with the Lantern. And then I think we're just going to attack in for 4. I don't know if a 1-mana combat trick that could save them here. I guess there's like maybe 1-mana Indestructible, maybe. The Armor of Shadows maybe could trade with them effectively if they have that with the Lantern of Revealing Mana, but then we get value off of the Muralists, so... Armor of Shadows probably not what they carry in this kind of deck, even though they do seem to have a good deal of black mana, so I could be wrong. not sure of any other one-mana combat trick that they could have used there with the looter to take advantage of our attack. Breath Weapon is pretty bad in this matchup, so that's not going to do anything for us since they have all dragons, and so they definitely are a dragon deck, as I thought they might be, but... So I guess the question is, I probably want to go Pilgrim's Eye, so I can do the land, and then I can do Young Red Dragon with the treasure token as well, since Breath Weapon doesn't do anything for us, so... And I think I probably want to do it pre-combat. I don't think that I want to attack in here, but I could be wrong. I think we have more need for green than red. And then... do we want to do the treasure token? Yes, we might as well. Then again, we can wait for the treasure token, and we can do Baba the Saga in response to the young blue dragon attacking. Yep, let's just go ahead and maybe we attack in with the Muralist, and then we can try and draw something and trade off with one of their dragons, I guess. So Pseudo Dragon would be a good trade here. We get value and we get rid of a flying creature for them, so allows our Emerald Dragon to go over the top for the win, hopefully. So, yep, definitely take action. And then I think we just get the Dread the Norm in our hand. They know that we have it, but even though that they know we have it for the combat trick aspect, I think it's still going to be a good card, because then they're going to be forced to play around it. So from that point of view, I think it's still going to be very good for us. So yeah, Lantern of Revealing is one of the cards that I was talking about previously during the break in the matches, where you can put something on the bottom of your library potentially. So looks like they're cycling their line up the shot, which could be bad for them because we have an Emerald Dragon and a Young Red Dragon in our hand, so not looking good. Another looter, it's not really too concerning. It is another creature on the ground, though, to attack in and race us a bit, so... And it is Baba the Saga value time, so let's do this. Do this, sacrifice that, and I guess we'll sacrifice black mana because I'm not going to need black mana anymore now. Get the card draw, get the life gain, get the drainage going, and another Pilgrim's Eye is excellent here, so... And we'll do the treasure token here for another Baba the Saga sack outlet. If they wanted to counterspell that, I would be okay with that. They might be saving it for the Dread the Norm that they know that we have. Let's play the land now to make sure we have the mana, and then... if we want to bait out a counterspell, maybe the Mycon is the best choice, and then we can play out Pilgrim's Eye and do another sack effect again on their turn. We very well could do Dread the Norm, but if they're holding up a counterspell, I'd rather have it done on the Ramping Creature when we already have lots of lands and such. Yeah, let's see if we can bait out a counterspell with this, and at the very least we have a couple of extra blockers on the ground, so... Then let's go ahead and could do the Young Red Dragon as well with the treasure, but I think we just do the Pilgrim's Eye here, and if they use a counterspell on this, then that's great. We can get out our big stuff, but if not, then it's also great. So if they use a counterspell here, it would basically mean that they're allowing Dread the Norm to get out on there to the field, so They can double block the Baba the Saga here, so I'm not going to attack in, obviously. So, plus I want to tap it for the sack value. So, looks like they're going to go digging for important stuff. Warriors of Tiamat doesn't really get there for them, I think, even with the extra +1/+1 counter thing that they got going on. I guess between the two, since this is a 5-power creature, I might as well block the Warriors of Tiamat instead, so... Okay, so they get double team value, that's okay. We're still going to be able to drain them here, so I think I'm okay. They could have a combat trick in hand, or they could have a way to deal damage, but I'm just going to have to do this and hope for the best. Could also chump both the Blue Dragon and the Warriors of Tiamat, but then I lose some sack fodder or ramp. Yeah, I think the Drain is going to be able to do better against them for racing them, so I think that this is the best play. And we go ahead and do the sacrifice on the Pilgrim's Eye and the Forest. Get that value and get the life drain going so we can easily race them here. Even with Breath Weapon in hand, we're still doing pretty awesome here, and I can easily discard it here if I don't play it, so... Don't have to worry too much about the hand size because Breath Weapon I can easily discard, so... And then what do we want to play? They have enough mana open for Undersimplify, so I don't want to get got by that. We have 6 mana, 7, 8 mana, so I could play Emerald Dragon and still pay the extra 2 against Undersimplify. They can also have the double blue counterspell with the Lantern of Revealing extra mana, so... something that I have to think about here. I think we can just play out Scaled Nurturer or Young Red Dragon and pass and just buy time here. We have a treasure token to sack, so let's go ahead and play out this, and then we can play out Young Red Dragon. And we go ahead and do this. They could counterspell it if they really want to, but they know that we have Dread Lenorm. They might think that I'm playing around to counterspell here, so... But they might counter it because they think that maybe tempo is more important to try and race us, so... That is totally fine. I will take it. Then we're going to go to combat, and then... I mean, do I just want to attack in here and get the damage? I mean, I should probably attack in with at least the Myconid, maybe? I could keep the mana open for the Young Red Dragon treasure token, I guess. Yeah, I think at this point, maybe we just attack in with this. Leave the Myconid up and we can sack the Myconid to, as a chump blocker at this point, so I think we go ahead and do this. And then we end the turn. Let's discard Breath Weapon. And that gets us down to 7. Don't really need it against a dragon deck. I doubt that they have any non-dragon cards that they had in their finalized deck. Maybe they have a strong splash card that's the non-dragon, but I would doubt that we're going to hit anything with the Breath Weapon at this point, so... So even with the hasty creatures and stuff that they have going on here, I don't think it's going to be enough for them, so... We still have enough blockers and drainage going on here that we can deal with them, so... So I'm going to go ahead and do this, I guess. They're going to deal 9 damage. They have only 1 mana open, so they can't do a combat trick to get there. And then we can just drain them with the Baba the Saga. And then Scaled Nurture can gain us some life here. Yeah, I think we can just do this. Sack that. I think we sack red mana this time, and then we sack the treasure. We need 3 different kinds of permanents, and the 1/1 token wouldn't get us there with that, so we gotta do it this way, and then Young Red Dragon Treasure can get us there. Also, the Meteor Golem can get us there too. And kill a creature, so that's interesting. Reckless Barbarian would also be a good chump blocker here that ramps. So what do I want to do is the question. Kobold Warcaller would be good as well to give haste to like a Dread Lenorm. But they already know that we have the Dread Lenorm, so maybe that's not the best idea. Maybe I just have to buy time with the drainage plan and do like the Meteor Golem. And then I have the Scaled Nurture for the 7 mana to play the Meteor Golem this turn. And then I can Baba the Saga sack next turn to do some more drainage. Yep, I think that we just use all of our mana on this. And we kill a creature. 1 mana doesn't have enough mana for a counterspell, and then we deal with the flying creature, I would think. Warriors of Tiamat deals more damage against us, but I think that we would rather just kill the flying creature that we can't block right now. And then no attacks. And I don't mind discarding a couple cards here. There's some cards that we probably just don't need. Okay. I think they're going to try and loot for an answer here. Lands are good for sack fodder. I think the Thrakkus we don't really need because we're just going to try and drain them out as a win condition. And then Emerald Dragon, I think maybe we don't need that either at this point. Young Red Dragon gets us treasure. Dread Lenorm is at least a combat trick. And at the very least, maybe we put the Fear of God into our opponent that we're discarding 2 very good cards here, so I don't think that Kindle Discovery is going to be enough for them, so I think that they're not going to be able to get there, so drawing cards is going to be nice, but they're not going to have enough mana to play enough things to get past the drain effect. Next turn I can do Young Red Dragon, treasure token, and then sacrifice a treasure on our turn to finish them off. So let's see, we chump here, and then I think that we also chump here, and then chump here. Yep, I think this is going to get us there. I don't want to risk the Baba the Saga dying to like a combat trick, so I'm going to do it this way. Green does have combat tricks, so yep, as I suspected. Their creature will have trample, but with the life gain aspect, they're not going to do enough damage to kill us here, so we still win, I believe, so sack the Meteor Golem, get the life gain out of this. Oh, no, I needed... No, I fucked up. Oh, no! I needed to sacrifice a land. No, I fucked up. Oh, God. Well, screw-ups happen. I can still maybe win this, but it's going to be much more difficult now that I made it very difficult on myself, so I made an oopsie-doopsie. I can still play some lower mana creatures here. Yeah, so let's play out the War Caller. Could play out the Dread Lenorm and get life gain into that as well, but we don't have much life to begin with, so... And then we have 2 mana for this. We need the blocker with the Scaled Nurturer, I think. So we want to do the Young Red Dragon when it's after we've assigned blocks, I think. And then we do this for an extra blocker, and hopefully we don't screw this thing up again, basically. Okay, and then let's move to the next turn. Don't want to attack after my screw up. I could have just won the game, but I also have access to the Dread Lenorm combat trick by sacrificing the Reckless Barbarian as well. Looks like they're looting for answers here, which they could very well have. Dread Lenorm getting haste could also get us there if they attack in with everything and they try and do something else to get themselves to victory here, so they have to be mindful of the Dread Lenorm that they can't chump block here, so... Okay, so if they have an Arcane Archery, we are dead to the trample damage, probably. So let's go ahead and do 1 chump block on them. I think we might want to do some blocks here that are extra in case they have the Arcane Archery. And then leave the Warcaller open for the for giving the Lenorm haste to get in there for the win. So even Young Red Dragon could also do it with haste. So we're going to do this in case they have the Arcane Archery again. Maybe Baba Lysaga is a safer play here, but the life gain can maybe save us. Well, then again, I need an artifact, so I have to do the... Alright, so let's tap this and this. And do the treasure token now. They could counterspell it, but then I can still sack the Reckless Barbarian to make another treasure, so I can still win this. Alright, let's let that resolve. And we can still sack the Reckless Barbarian to do the treasure token, so... Let's sack this, do this before they draw a counterspell. If that's what they're trying to do. And then, before that resolves, I think we do want to sack, and this time get it right. Let's do sack on this thing, and then this thing. Had to order them right, and now, with a hasty Thrakkus, I think we might be able to get in there no matter what, and win. Yeah, basically I wanted to do that while the triggers are still going, so that way they can't, you know, per chance draw something like a counterspell or some other effect. Alright, so I think it's a good game here because I can do haste with Dread Lenorm or something like that. And get in there for the win. And then, I mean, we could also just do Thrakkus as well. I don't believe that they should have enough mana here to do anything about this, so... We'll leave back our blocker here, and hey, we get the win! It was a long, hard road, and I made a major screw-up on the Baba Lysaga sacrifice effect there by not doing the correct thing and sacrificing another permanent type, but we still got there, and even when I made a mistake, we still won with this deck. A very bad mistake, I might add. I forgot to sacrifice another Titan to permanent. Another permanent, pertinent. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just glad I won. Okay, so match point. We're at 6 wins and 2 losses. Let's see if we can get the full 7 wins here and get the good old 2,200 gems and 6 packs of value here. So, final game, no matter win or lose. Let's see if we can win with a dragon deck. Hopefully we don't play prime time again. That would be pretty unfortunate and anticlimactic. Maybe I can get revenge on them if we play them one more time, but it was a bad matchup for us playing against prime time, so I'm going to finish off with Kazanur. Hopefully Breath Weapon is not such a bad card in this matchup as it was against the Dragon deck. I think this is a keep. Kobold Warcaller turn 1 into Treasure Token turn 2 into Undersolar Myconid turn 3. Seems like a keep to me. Hopefully we're not up against another Dragon deck. That would be unfortunate. It'd be nice to see a Breath Weapon do something in a game that we win, so... If it's another Dragon deck, I'll be very upset, but... MON indicates that it's probably not a Dragon deck. It's probably just like a looting, like a loot value type deck that has lots of card draw in it, I would assume. Trying to get to some bigger creatures and to some counter spells or combat trick type things, maybe. So let's see. Yeah, I think turn 2 we just continue to go down the path of the Young Red Dragon. I think that we give the Young Red Dragon haste, so we're not going to do the treasure token now. But what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use the Warcaller to give the Young Red Dragon haste and then do the treasure token activation at the end of my opponent's turn. They could very well have a counter spell to counter the Young Red Dragon. So maybe for that reason I don't want to give it the haste here. Because then we end up losing the haste value from that. So let's do it on the Mirrorless first, and then we'll play the treasure token side and see if they counter this. Alright, so they did hold priority, but they didn't counter it, so I have to assume that they have some kind of interaction in their hand or a counter spell. So Breath Weapon doesn't help us much here because then we just kill our Warcaller, so I can't give the Young Red Dragon haste now, but them's the breaks, so I think that we can just play the Muralist and then pass, maybe. Myconid would be okay too if we wanted them to counterspell something. Yeah, I think that we can go ahead and just... Let's give haste, I guess, to the Myconid, and then just for shits and giggles, I guess, and then we'll go ahead and play this out. Let's see if they counter it. They do. Yep, so they did in fact have a counterspell in hand. I'm okay losing the Myconid to a counterspell instead of the things that I want to play that are on the higher end of our curve. Hopefully now they'll tap out and play something here instead of holding up more counterspells, so otherwise I can maybe try and bait them with the Breath Weapon into a counterspell again so I can just play some creatures at some point. Alright, so now they tap out, which means I can get the value that I want, and a Thrakkus is very good too. Do I want to just play the Thrakkus now and then attack next turn with both the Thrakkus and the Muralist? I think I do, actually. Let's go ahead and give Thrakkus haste and attack in here, because this is going to be a strong attack, so do that now. They're tapped out, so they can't counter this. We attack with a 6/4 Trampler, and we get in for 6. Highly doubt that they block with the Pseudo Dragon, unless they are very intent on buying time for like a rare card that they have to try and win it for them. Looks like they're just trying to loot through lands and try and find answers for what we have. But with only blue mana, they only have like counter spells and maybe a blinking type effect to blink something in and out of the battlefield maybe, but other than the Emmeline, they haven't really shown any strong cards. I guess the Frost Giant is a pretty decent card, but they don't have lands to... Like, I don't know why they didn't play this, because it'd still be a pretty decent card to get out there. From their point of view anyway, so... So maybe what I do here is I do the Dread Lenorm combat trick pre-combat, and then have Thrakkus have his power doubled. And so what I do is I do this pre-combat before I play the adventure side of the Lenorm. Then I play the adventure side, and with 1 mana they don't have mana to counter this. Then I double its power to 10, they're forced to chump, but it's not going to be a very good chump, so they just take it. Alright, so we're looking in very good shape here. We have them dead on board with an attack next turn, so they need an answer. And they do have it. But we also have the Dread Lenorm with haste, which can get there, and the Mirrorless can also get there and force a trade at the very least. Breath Weapon can also force a very sticky situation for them and kill some of their creatures. Okay, so let's go and play the land. Sadly, I can't give the Young Red Dragon haste to get in there, but... do I want to just use the Breath Weapon now, or do we want to do it when it's our own turn? We can always just play out the Young Red Dragon now for a blocker for one of their flying dragons. And then we can do Hasty Mirrorless on a future turn, perhaps. And Young Red Dragon doesn't die to the Breath Weapon. Yeah, I think that we need to... we have 6 mana. We don't have enough for Breath Weapon and Young Red Dragon. I think that we need the blocker here to trade and then get in with Dread Lenorm for the win with haste. Yeah, Dread Lenorm I think is our win condition here to get this final win. Okay, so that's going to hurt. Yeah, I think that they have lethal here. I think that Breath Weapon would have saved us here, but Charm Sleep I think is going to get them there. And GG's. Yeah, if we had one more turn, we would have killed them there with either the Mirrorless or the Dread Lenorm if they didn't have the removal there, but they had what they needed, so Breath Weapon would have saved us there barely, but it is what it is, so... And if anything, they might have just used the Charm Sleep on the Thrakkus if we didn't play the Young Red Dragon, so... I mean, 6 wins is still a pretty good result for this deck, and I'm very happy about it. So close to getting that 7th one, but... Don't know when we played the Primetime player back-to-back. I don't know if it's a common thing or not. Usually you're up against 8 or so players, but... Or, 7 players, I think, are in a single draft. Yeah, so you're up against 7 other players, and you can play 7 of them in a row, I guess. But I guess we just ran out of extra players to play, so... Still a good deck. I love this deck, and it was really fun. We didn't get the grand prize, but we almost got there, and it was still really fun. So let's go to these packs and see what we get here for the Pack 1 Pick 1 scenarios. Dragon deck was very fun, just so close to getting the 7th win there. I really wanted the 7th win. Easy Chaos Power here. This is one of the strongest cards in the set. Obviously, it's worth the mythic rarity, obviously. It has lots of very good effects here. So yeah, you can do lots of stuff with this, and it's well worth splashing if you have enough like treasures and fixing to get it. So definitely worth building around in the first pick, and then Bronze Walrus would be also a solid pickup. Also, coincidentally, you can go ahead and fix for Chaos Valor if you want to splash it or get the double red. And then Young Red Dragon is a pretty good red card that we could hopefully wheel after taking the Baldur pick 1. Then with this one, it would be an easy Oya Minotaurk or Oya Minotaur. Oya Minartalk. Okay, say that 10 times fast. Yeah, it would be the Werebear here. Having Hexproof as a blocker at the very least, as a baseline, very strong. Then the food token effects here are also very strong to get out to other interesting creatures here. So lots of very, very strong creatures that they can potentially get out with the food tokens and doing all of that. And as a 4/5 baseline for 4 mana, it's a very good card. Crydal is good in the right build around. You probably want a deck that has some decently strong creatures to make them unblockable and get in for lots of damage, like maybe some high power, low toughness creatures maybe, or some dragon type cards. And then Two-Handed Gax is decent in the right deck. In our deck, it would have been pretty good with the Thrakkus to get in with double strike and trample, or the equip it on a creature with the Thrakkus pumping would also be very strong. So this with Thrakkus would kind of want to be in the same deck with the dragons. Nothing else that's too inspiring. No offense to the inspiring bard. Maybe Ettercap is a decent pickup for a green deck here on the wheel, and maybe in best of 3 would be a good sideboard card on the wheel if we take the Werebear first pick. So and what do we pick up here? I'm already seeing the enthusiasm, and I'm very enthused about this one. Belt of Giant Strength is more of a constructed card, I think, to where you can make small creatures really big with maybe lots of token generation, and then you equip the tokens, and then you just trade off with your tokens and make it very difficult for the opponent to beat you with all the mana that you have in your deck. So I think first pick, I'd probably take the Mephit's Enthusiasm. I like red as a color in this set. It's very good removal. It has a pump effect that's very good for any deck. Very good if you have like a flying creature like a young red dragon or any other kind of dragon, obviously would be great with it. It'd also be good with the Blessed Hippogriff as well, since that flies and is very strong to attack in with. Owlbear Shepherd is also a very good card. Definitely not very far behind the Mephit's Enthusiasm, just good for card draw. Very good blocker against the aggro decks. And it has some pretty cool art and theme to it, where you have like an Owlbear Shepherd. And imagine having an owlbear for a pet. That would be quite a beefy pet. Then improvised weaponry. After taking the Mephit's Enthusiasm, we'd hope to maybe wheel the improvised weaponry. Not too much else here for us. I guess Grey Slot would go well in the green-black mill reanimation deck. No, this one's pretty easy. Hourglass Coven is considered to be one of the most broken cards in the set. It's definitely mythic rare value here. It's very, very strong, and even if you don't have any other warlocks in your deck other than this one, it generates 2 warlock cards already as a baseline, and then you can basically drain your opponent. You can force the opponent to discard cards all the time to make sure that they can't play much out. And then you can just get all these really nasty, debilitating effects each turn for free, along with having extra blockers. And then even if they have removal for the Hourglass Coven, the baseline card, you're still going to have the 2 other warlocks on the field with the secondary effects. So even removal cannot truly deal with this card because you have the 2 other warlocks that are giving you the turn-by-turn effects anyway. So And this could also be a very good... This could probably be very, very good in the black-white flicker type deck, so you can flicker it in and out, make some more warlocks on the field, get lots of value off of that, and then get more effects pumping at the same time, and just kill your opponent very quickly. So after that, the Lulu is also very good, and it could be very good in the same deck as Hourglass Coven if you're lucky to get both of them in the same deck. Then you can do Craving of Yeenoghu if you do like a hyper aggro deck, and you can pump it in for more and return it from the graveyard to just keep on trading small creatures for bigger ones. And that's about all that's here for us. Ambitious Dragonborn, good in the right deck, but usually you're not going to play that one. Yeah, Hourglass Coven would be very, very strong in any deck, but black-white flickering it in and out would just be nuts. So, Wand of Orcus is too big of a build around, and there aren't very many zombies in the set. It's more of a constructed card where you can build a deck around zombies. I think that Sword Coast Serpent would be the play here. It's a dragon, so it goes well in the dragon deck. It has a pretty decent instant effect for the adventure side. And then if you have the right build around, you can make it unblockable for combat tricks or removal spells, etc. So yeah, it's a very good card. Nice 6/6 beefy creature, never hurt anyone, and it is a dragon for the dragon decks. And it's also very good with the Ragadraga as well for the 7 mana cost. So Meteor Golem is also a pretty safe pick, being colorless and having some good decks that fits in. Deadly Dispute, good for sacrificing type decks, and pretty good with like a Meteor Golem in some ways. So Minimalist Containment, also solid removal. And then Sepulchral Ghoul wants to be in the same deck as probably the Wand of Orcus, being a zombie, and then the Deadly Dispute with the sacrifice synergies. So yep, I'd probably take the Sword Coast Serpent there for the first pick, because it's just probably the strongest individual card. So, and it fits in the dragon deck, which makes taking a blue card a bit more bearable, I would say. Well, this is a very interesting pick. Gilryan is good with the right build around. We could maybe hope to wheel the Young Red Dragon for the Gilryan deck and splashing, going 4-color or 5-color madness. It is a good card, but maybe more of a constructed card. Trelasara is a good build around. Black Dragon is obviously a great sort of mana sink for the high-end value in the dragon decks, and it also goes well with the Rabadraga. It's the 7 mana creature for the Rabadraga that can activate that effect for it. Vampire Spawn is also pretty solid. Dragon's Fire is great removal, wants to be in the same deck as the Black Dragon. Young Red Dragon's also good. This is a pretty good pack. Band Together is good removal in green. Dragon's Fire would be the safest pick because removal is good in any deck, and red is a pretty good color to build around. Trelasara maybe has the most upside in the green-white deck, and just pumping it up as a 2-drop that gets bigger and ensures that you get the draws that you need. You can mitigate flood with it a bit more. I guess I would probably take the Trelasara and try doing the green-white life gain build around. Since if you have it pack 1, pick 1, you can potentially build around it, and the life gain type deck cards usually wheel around, so yep, I think Trelasara would be the pick where I try and make that deck work. So thank everyone for watching here, and unfortunately we didn't get all the way there with the dragon deck, but them's the breaks. Magic the Gathering, you end up going against other people with the strong decks when you get that late into the draft and the matches. So hope everyone had a very good time with the dragon deck all the same, and I know I had a lot of fun. There were some games that I won that I had no business winning, but I'm still happy that the draft turned out the way that it did, and that we had a lot of fun with it, and that hopefully you guys could enjoy the true power and destructive power, all the mightiness of the dragons, the dragon rage, the dragon oh, I don't know, that's not even the right word for it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the dragon action. I'm going to go ahead and get some sleep here, but hope everyone had a lot of fun watching the draft and the deck. Hope everyone has a very good time for the weekend wherever you are, and as always, take care.